Whether you're leading for the first time, leading through change, or learning to lead all over again, this space is for you. No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk from those who've led through challenges, adapted under pressure, and thrived in the face of change. Welcome to Command to Corporate, where leadership isn't just taught, it's lived. Let's get to work. All right, welcome back, everybody. How you doing, T?
Doing great, brother. Another Sunday. Got my workout in, got my cardio in, so I'm ready to go.
Okay, me too, me too. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. As always, I'm LP. As he said, he's T. We doing our thing. How's your week been for you?
It's been busy, but I guess it's just like every other week, so I can't complain.
Yeah,
Still
that's
alive, so
yeah.
I'm all right.
Anything happened over the weekend up till now?
Not really. No, it's pretty chill, so I'll take it.
Okay, all right. For
You?
me, I did. I actually made. I have a big cactus in my backyard that produces fruit, and
Mm.
this is the first time where I took some off and I made prickly pear jelly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so those bulbs that turn purple on a
Yeah,
cactus, yeah, that's fruit. And so I cut
yeah.
them off, and I got about 2.5 cups worth, and I actually made fruit. I had it this morning for breakfast. It was damn good.
Really?
Yeah, 100% organic sugar, all that. Yeah, I just was
Had
like, let me try it because it produces it every year, and I just usually just let it fall off, rabbit seed or whatever. But I said, it's a lot this time. And I'm like,
mm.
let me see what I can do with it. Just try it out for one time.
And how do you remove the pricklies off of them?
So I put it on I first took them off with some tongs, metal tongs.
Uh-huh.
So because one I've had those things stick me too many times, and it's like almost impossible to get them out. But this time I use the tongs, I use a fork, stab it, cut the tops and the bottoms off, flip it up on its base, and then just slice down the
Ah,
sides and kind of just go around the edges until it's all off. And I mean, I triple wash them just because you're gonna eat it, so I don't want anyone
yeah.
to happen to. So I would cut those off, scrape it into the trash, put them off to the side, do them all, then rinse them all again. Then they have tiny seeds in the inside, so I cut
Mm,
them open. That's pain because they're already small, and then
mm.
the seeds are small. So scraping that all out, rinse them again. So it's like it took me a good amount of time just to make sure it was thoroughly clean. But I was like, why not? I was just sitting there, wasn't doing shit. So it's like,
Bro, it sounds like eating crap. I was like, all right, it's too much work to eat crap.
no,
It's not worth it
no, no. I
anymore.
mean, it came out pretty good. I
Yeah,
mean, I have a lot. So
yeah.
I don't know. This year produced quite a bit. And then, what was it? Yesterday, went and checked out Trail Burgers. They had a food truck. So that's Bun B with UGK's. He's a co-founder
I
of
don't know.
Trail Burgers out of Houston, and he had his food truck. He posted
Hmm.
online. And he was there, so I went and checked it out. And he has a vegan version and of his OG Trail Burger, and pretty good, pretty
All
good.
right, I haven't tried. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
aware.
yeah, pretty good. Yeah. So if anybody's listening, Trail Burgers, I give it a thumbs up. Go check it out. They got a vegan option. So yeah,
And we're willing to accept sponsorship. Trailburger.
man. One day is coming. One day is coming.
All right, let's get
Yeah.
started.
All right, man. Let's get it going. So today's topic is on team dynamics and cross collaboration, office politics. And we
Mhm.
know office politics can be a sticky one. So let me jump into a couple by the book definitions, keep
Mhm.
us honest, and then we'll jump into it. So office politics refers to the use of power, influence, and interpersonal dynamics to achieve personal or organizational goals within a workplace. It involves both formal and informal strategies that people use to gain advantage, build alliances, or protect their interests. And key aspects of office politics include one, power and influence, two, alliance and networks, three, information control. So somebody
Mm.
controlling their narrative,
Mhm.
self promotion, competition and rivalry, favoritism, and bias.
Hmm.
And there's a positive aspect and a negative aspect to office politics. On the positive
Sure.
side, says positive office politics can involve collaboration, strategic thinking, and
Sure.
diplomacy to drive progress and success, whereas negative office politics may involve manipulation, gossip,
Mm.
sabotage, unethical behavior, which harm morale and productivity.
That's interesting. Like I never really think of any positive attributes when it comes to office
Not at all.
politics.
Not,
Yeah, I'm
or
always
at
thinking
least
of
I've
negative.
never experienced it. Or maybe, well, let me say, maybe I'm not aware that I experienced positive
Mm.
office politics. Maybe I have, you
So,
know.
like to me, office politics, I think, is more of these unwritten rules that
Mhm,
we operate in within our team, within the company, which is also an extension of culture. You know, the office culture. That's how we do things. That's how we operate based on our principles. So there's rules, and so you have these formally written cultural statements, mission statements. But I think office politics tend to be unwritten rules of how you're expected to act and behave. So it's an unwritten culture. That's the way I think of it, at least. And it's usually like a negative thing, not necessarily like a great positive thing.
well, I think the way when you first described it as unwritten rules, I would think that would be the positive side of it, but
Mm,
it's that people don't do that. So if it were
mm,
unwritten rules that supported culture and, going back to the collaboration and strategic thinking and
mm,
diplomacy, driving through progress, well, that supports that. And I guess that
sure.
would be the positive side. But as you said, I see just negative, like, and so I don't know. It can, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll be more aware of it now that think like, oh, this is a positive impact,
Yeah.
effect of office politics. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So let's jump into it. So, what makes a team truly effective in terms of dynamics and collaboration?
So I think when it comes to dynamics, I think of diverse backgrounds, right? So diverse backgrounds that like complement each other, you know. So you may have a team full of consultants, great. That's a lot of planning, but you also need to complement that weakness because generally consultants tend to be, mostly planners, but not
Hmm.
necessarily executioners of those plans because consultants usually come in, tell you what needs to be done, and then they kind of move on, you know?
Yeah,
But so
yeah,
in order to have an effective team, you have to have like a balance, you know? So we're going to plan, we're going to execute, and we're going to follow through. So in that way, you got to have some sort of diversity in backgrounds that complement each other. Also, as far as I think collaboration, obviously it's you got to have an open mind
yeah,
to understand like, hey, my ideas are not always going to be the best. So that means you have to have some sort of humbleness. You also have to have some self awareness, maybe of your weakness.
hmm,
And so whatever you may think is not always the best. And so when it comes to topics of politics, for example, I was like, oh, that's not my background. Like that's certainly somebody else's specialty. So I'll defer to them.
yeah,
I think that's some critical things that impact collaboration on teams. Well, what do you think?
yeah. I think you hit the nail right on the head, right? Uh, I think with being that teams are mixed up with different
Mm,
people and, potentially maybe even if they're the same background, but they have different experiences, have been exposed to different things. So I think everyone having an open mind to hear when time permits to let's hear your ideas and really
mm,
encouraging people to bring forth those ideas
hmm
and through listening and what do people think and having this open and honest communication. I think it can really help. Hey, that's a good point. And maybe you don't act on everything. And I think that's where the collaboration comes in because we can't act on everything.
No.
So people have to understand that, yeah, I might have a great idea, but maybe everyone's not ready for it at this time. But you said it, you shared it. Can we table that? Maybe we can revisit
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And maybe it's just a platform, a tool, a document that all ideas are captured.
Mm.
That way you can always revisit it and say, okay, we whether it's lessons learned or after action reviews, it's documented, something that we can say, great ideas, great observations, great points. uh, we can't act on everything, but let's at least capture them all, so that way we
See,
know that everyone's thoughts
yes.
were captured. We revisit it. Maybe we can't, maybe that's not applicable to this scenario, but it'll be applicable later. But I think when people see that, and they're not,
Hmm.
and leaders see that, leaders act on it, and then leaders don't always go to the same people all the time.
Yes.
Give everyone an opportunity. Let's try something. I think that can help make teams be more effective.
But I think one thing that you said that's really stood out, I think, is really critical, is when you have an idea and the team doesn't necessarily shoot it down as like, oh, that's a silly idea or that's a stupid idea.
Yeah,
You have to be comfortable to share those ideas without feeling the threat, of
yeah,
being put down or saying, oh, that's a horrible idea.
yeah.
So psychological safety on the team, I think that's kind of where it comes down to.
Oh,
It's a good point.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that psychological safety, because I've talked to people and mentor slash coach people in organization or in organizations where they don't want to. They're like, oh, I don't want it to seem like my idea is dumb or stupid.
Mm. Yeah.
I feel like people might judge me. So that means you don't have a safe space.
Yeah.
The leader has not established that, where you're, regardless if it's an old team or a new team, it's not a common practice. You're just not there yet, but you may have valuable ideas. You know, the team is missing out potentially.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have that experience. I'm sure you've sat in through a presentation and like a question comes to your mind, right? And you're like, that's a stupid fucking question. Excuse my language. In your head, you're thinking that's a silly question. Like I'm not gonna ask that. And next thing you know, somebody else um, asks that question, and you're like, huh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't the only one. So yeah, it's that feeling of feeling unsafe is what keeps people from like sharing and contributing to discussion. So good point. Yeah.
All right. So, how do you build trust across departments that historically don't work well together? And on that one, from my own experience,
Mm-hmm.
I've worked through where if they have to, it's a collaboration. I think process helps.
Mm.
And when I say by
Okay.
process is, if you are, let's say you're mapping a process or a system, or this is the way we're going to exchange information, and
Mm-hmm.
people work the plan, follow through on their commitments, execute on time, ensure they're accountable, and ownership, all of those things, and the teams going back and forth see that everyone is delivering. That was my bad. You're gonna be delayed because I'm delayed. I'm sorry. I'm gonna raise this in a meeting.
Yeah.
Transparency, but it's
Yes.
all around
Yes.
process. People can then say, well, they're sticking their commitments, they're open and honest, they're, all of these things, because that's the way we define that we are going to communicate and execute, and the
Mm-hmm.
process is going to work. I think that can then help uh, build trust, because they
Mm-hmm.
know that all of these things are open and out front. But if you don't, and it's just like, well, I'm going to shoot you an email. Oh, I'm trying to reach you. I'm late because you haven't given it to me. You're not responding to emails. You
Right.
know, I don't.
Yeah.
You're ducking and dodging. Oh, I can't attend that meeting. I'm a decline.
It's always
All of
pointing
these little,
fingers. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I didn't do it because so and so didn't do it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you said this. I don't remember that. It's like all of that's just gonna just tear it down.
That's true, and taking ownership of a fault, like maybe like, hey, our team didn't deliver. Yeah, that's our bad.
Yeah.
That gives you credibility later on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, if they say it's not their fault, then that, I trust that, that team because they own up to their mistakes. So yeah, no,
Mhm.
absolutely, that's a good point. I also think when you're talking about cross, functional collaboration and trying to work well with another team, I think it's a lot of times it's not understanding what the other team or person needs, why they need the information. So, for example, like, so when I was at the Human Resources Command, so I
Mhm.
was submitting a request for funds. So I'm submitting a budget request.
Mhm.
And so I submitted to the budget office, and this person just kicks it back. Like, no, it's wrong. I need a justification, So I kicks back, I retype it and I send it off. No, justification not good enough. And like every single time it is like I send it, it's like a tennis game, like I shoot the budget over, shoot it back, and then next thing I know, I'm being CC'd to my boss. I was like, hey, you guys are not getting budgeted. And I'm like, wait a minute, like we've been going back and forth for like literally like 2 weeks now.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm like getting worked up now just thinking about it. It was so frustrating. And so I was like, all right, let me go talk to this guy. And so I sit down and I talk to him. And by the end of like 15-minute conversation, I was like, oh, I see what the problem is. So this is a civilian. So at that time, I was a lieutenant colonel, I think, or major, something like that.
Mhm.
And HRC, he was a civilian, so full time, permanent. He goes, you guys just come in and out, every 2, 3 years, and I have to teach somebody new every time, and I'm just tired of it. I was like, oh, his frustration is like he has to train people every time. So obviously, military rotates, sometimes every year,
Yeah.
certain positions, and so he grows frustrated because he was at one point patient and he was teaching these rotating officers, and sometimes he would even do the work for them, but
Mhm.
then there comes a point where he's just like snapped. He's like, this is insane. So once I understood that, I was like, okay, got it. I see the frustration. And then we started talking about the process, and he
Mhm.
goes, I have to go up with your budget and justification, and I have to fight for it, you know I was like, okay, so now I understand like what his concern is with the justification that I'm trying to, provide him. So
Yeah.
once I understood that, I was like, okay, I would just like next budget, I just take my computer, sit by his desk. I was like, hey, this is what I'm submitting. What do you think of this? Where can I improve? And so he would just, give me like 10, 15 minutes, and we would knock it out. And it saves us literally like probably 2 weeks or hours
Mhm.
going back and forth. And so we slowly built a relationship, because now I got his back because I'm setting him up with something that he could fight for, and he's fighting for me, for my budget. So it was very helpful in that way. So I think if you take the time and figure out why that resistance or that collaboration is not there across teams, which is probably helpful.
So, what you just described when we
Hmm.
talked about key aspects of office politics,
Hmm.
alliances and networks,
Uh,
building relationships with departments to increase influence or support. You built an alliance.
I did. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
But think about this though. You went the extra mile, you talked to him, you understood his frustration, but
Hmm.
what about everyone else that doesn't? Unless he's dedicated to you, he's still pissed.
He's still
And
pissed with
so
us.
I
Yeah.
think for him, unfortunately, it's the cost of doing business.
Mm.
This is the way the military is.
Hmm.
So this is what understanding you will have to do this every, however often.
Yeah.
And if that's not something you no longer want to do, then it's time to leave because you
Yes.
can be frustrated at what are you going to be mad at everyone? It's like it's just the way it is. We didn't do it.
Yes.
I didn't rotate
Yes.
myself here. I
Yes.
could have stayed where I was another year or two. But it's like, don't be mad at me, man.
No, that's a good point. Like, what do you do with office politics, like in that scenario? Do you have to play by the rules or what's going on?
But I mean, I think you took the right approach. Like you went and said, let me see what's going on. Because I've been in situations, for example, I remember in the military, I turned in a document and I think I needed to go retrieve it. So I went to, I think, S1 and
Hmm.
I'm saying, "Hey, where's the document I turned in?" And they're like, everyone is acting clueless. So I'm like, "No, no, I gave it to someone and you put it in a file. Where is it?" And I was just so upset. And I'm like, "Get it, find it now." I'm just like, "How is this possible?" But in that instance, I wasn't cared about alliances. But I don't think you can do anything else but try to understand,
Yeah,
try to become relatable and saying, look, I'm just doing my job. How can I help me to help you? What can I do to make this better for you? And you did. You brought your laptop. How can we work through this? I just want to make it a smooth process. And at least this is one less burden on you because
so
I'm
do you
still having
think
to do my job. You still got to do your job. It doesn't
that's
change
very true?
everyone else, but
That's
I don't
very
know.
true. Do you think like office politics get to a point where it's like it just becomes a bad work environment?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Gee, man. I mean,
What'd you do then?
see, I mean, let me go from what I've
That's what's
seen.
up.
Let me go from
Okay.
what I've seen. I've seen people walk out and leave a
Hmm.
job on the spot.
Hmm.
I've seen people put in their notice and say, though it's 2 weeks notice, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
If you want me to stick around, I'm gonna run my mouth and tell everybody really why I'm leaving. So just pay me and I'm out. And they just hit the road. Um, or they start to create other alliances that make it even worse.
Ooh,
So then they're like, okay, now I'm going to
good
try to
point.
get people on my side
Mm,
and try to target you and or whoever it is to make them look bad, spread rumors. That's when the gossip starts and it just starts. Then people don't work well together. You
mm,
see the attitudes flaring through up in email, trying to come across in emails that way. The
hmm.
cold shoulders, people aren't talking to one another. It's just crazy. And
That's
then
interesting.
also seeing leaders not do anything about it because they're
Ah,
actually part of the problem
yeah.
because they fall into the aspects of they've also formed their own alliance because they pick and choose. And then they've also more focused on self promotion than anyone else. And they have the favoritism and bias. And it's just a melting pot for disaster. And I mean,
Mm,
once it starts, if there doesn't look like there's any light at the end of the tunnel, people are starting to look for other jobs or, move. If they're in a company, they're in a team, they're looking to move or
yep.
leave. And as soon as something comes along, you know, they're out.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with everything you said. Yeah. It's a politics are games are rules of the game that you're in. And if they're not aligning with your principles and morals and character, then I guess it's time to go.
Yeah.
I can't play by these rules. It's not my sport, you know?
No.
And
And
so
and
there's
I
no
guess a
reason for me to
question
stick
for
around.
you,
Hmm.
like from my aspect, I've never in the military, I never, I guess I'm not in an office environment. So office
Mm.
politics, I mean, there might be some things, but I was one, especially becoming an NCO, really living up to the NCO creed. No one is more professional than I. And that's what I'm living by, even to this day. Um, but in your role and being more higher up, did you see that in the military? Office politics?
Um, I certainly, it's rough. It's hard to say because I seriously just look at my current environment and see what are the norms, what are the rules of this game, and I
Mhm.
literally just kind of try to play along with those rules. So I've never really, I haven't been in a place where the office politics rules were crazy or out of line of my principles and my character. So it's hard to say. Um,
Because
but
I don't really remember it in the military ever being a thing until I got into the civilian sector. And maybe it's just
mm,
it wasn't as prevalent as it is in the civilian sector.
so being at where was I? Fort Hood, right?
Hmm.
Battalion commander pretty much said all green tabbers, so meaning if you're a people leader,
Hmm.
have to go to aerosol school. Wait, no, that was Fort Campbell.
Oh, I'm like,
Fort
dang,
Campbell, excuse me.
that's a crazy
Yeah.
requirement.
All right, I forget where I've been. So at Fort Campbell, right? So aerosol school is there.
Hmm.
And basically, if you're a green tabber, people leader, you have to go to aerosol school, you
Wow.
know? And yeah. And so, and for those that are trying to get into those, green tab positions, so if, whatever, it's like platoon sergeant, squad leader, platoon leader, company commander, all those people manager positions, you have to be aerosol qualified. You have to have your wings. So that's something that was unwritten, but
Hmm.
that was expectations. And if you went and did not pass aerosol school, you're probably going to get dinged on your evaluation. So
Hmm.
that was some of the politics that I've ran into. Also, the road marches, you're expected to do it within 12 miles in 3 hours.
Hmm.
That's a standard.
Hmm.
Even though like the non-officer green tab standard, it was like what 4 hours I think it was. So yeah, those are some unwritten rules that you had to live by. And if you can't achieve those, then the consequences, but nobody those consequences weren't written down. We just knew that's what would happen to you.
Yeah. I mean, even that though, I really wouldn't. And you do take a ding because it's an expectation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, maybe it's like you need to lead from the front, you need to accomplish
Mm-hmm.
these things from the front. I can get that. I can even buy in on that and
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, I'll do it. If you're saying that's what leaders, you expect us to do this, to lead from the front, air assault, ruck marches, a certain time, I'm for that. But I think what we see in corporate America, the nasty politics, like you need to be in with this person, don't offend this person, don't say this, you catch one the wrong way because, it does damage teams. It
Mm-hmm.
does delay projects because, people can't get along. And then it becomes this whole big thing where if the leaders just kind of jumped in there and just said, enough, how do the are the leaders even collaborating? Are they setting clear expectations? And I think that leads to like the next one. What can leaders do to create an environment where cross collaboration thrives? And I think it's a leader has to lead. They have to set expectations. They have
Yes.
to people come and complain like don't come in here with that. Like that's petty. Go back, do your job. If y'all have a problem, figure out how you're going to solve the problem within your own team first. Don't look to blame someone else. If you coming in here with that, go right back out the door. But I think in the that's where I would appreciate the military more. It's like you wouldn't even think to do that. Like it's just solve your own problem, get out there, get it done, mission driven, but it's
Mm.
always like it's someone else's fault why I didn't succeed. And it's someone else why I can't do it on time. And it's someone else's, well, I don't remember the process. I don't want to do it like that. And it makes me have to work harder because I'm already unorganized. So if you want to put more in me, I'm gonna be even more. I don't have time to talk to people. What is this? And
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Leaders
and if
set the tone.
yeah, and if they would and it goes back to them being promoted in the first place. Like,
Mm.
what qualities did you see that said, let me make this person in charge of other people? And I don't think people really dig into that. They just say, wow, you know what? You do your job so well. I think you should be in charge of other people and lead them to do the job. Like, first of all, You doing a job really well has nothing to do with you leading people to do that job.
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly.
come on, but they so many times they pick them instead of
Yes.
evaluating, asking questions, and it just seems like leaders just don't wanna go back and reevaluate and
Mm.
really look at how are you leading your team? Because
Hmm.
so many things in corporate America, as we talked about profits, it's just results driven. And
Right.
as long as it's you're delivering, it doesn't matter what's going on behind the curtain.
Hmm.
Behind the curtain, people are throwing shit, they're fighting, they're cussing each other and everything, but they keep delivering because they also have families and they need money and all this stuff, so they're
That's
gonna
true.
deliver. They don't wanna get bad reviews, they don't wanna get fired, they wanna leave on their own, at their own, accord. They don't wanna leave and just be put out the door, they wanna be fired. Imma leave when I'm ready to leave, and, so
It's
they
a lot of
deliver.
sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
At what cost do they deliver? At the cost of basically destroying the team dynamics, destroying team culture, destroying, their family life sometimes.
yes,
And
yes.
so yeah, it's such a negative spiral to get into because it doesn't get better. No.
Yeah, and I tell my wife sometimes, I'm like, you have to deal with the drama sometimes, in
Mm,
a sense. You
mhm.
have to put up with the drama and stress at work. So when you do come home, you don't want that at home too. You gotta, and the thing is I tell her it's like a roller coaster. Depending on who you're talking to, you choose to get on that ride. You choose to go like this. And if I see us going
That's
up
true.
and down, it's like, hey, I don't want no part of that. I'm too old for roller coasters. So you go ahead and have that one. Because some people's emotions and all of that craziness, it's like a
Yes.
roller coaster. And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm not going, as soon as they start bringing the negative conversation, I'm like, hey, I'm out. I don't need to hear it.
It's true. It is so true. Yeah, when you talk to somebody and you kind of do own the feeling is mixed. It's really difficult to describe in words, but if you're talking to somebody who is very happy, very upbeat, you kind of get upbeat. But when
Yeah.
you're talking to somebody who's just negative and nagging and like all of this, like you start feeling that stress and that
Yeah.
discomfort. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, no, it's I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. But I never heard this. You choose to get on that roller coaster.
For real. It's like I'm not gonna get on that roller coaster. I'm not.
Is that what you tell her before an argument? You're like, nah, we're not having this conversation.
No, no, I can't do that.
I'm like, I'm too short for this ride, so I'm just gonna get off right now.
If I had it, but when it comes to stuff that's like external of our household,
Yeah,
I'm like, you have to go and work. You don't have to do that other stuff. You don't have to listen.
sure.
It's like that ride. It's like, do you want to get on or not? Because
Yeah,
you look up, you see all the twists and turns and ups and downs, and it's like, if I get on, I'm riding, and I got to
especially
ride
if you've
to
been
the
on
end
that ride
too.
before.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm like, yeah.
no, I'm not doing it. Not
Oh yeah,
again.
there's some people I avoid. I'm like, I ain't
Well,
talking to you. No way.
yeah. And you could, in real life, how people love roller coasters is people that love emotional roller coasters, and they're like, "I'm a ride that joker. I want to see the highs, the lows, and all of it, because they want that gossip. They want the
That's a
dirt.
toxic relationship.
Come on, come on. So, and it's just a shame that you have to play that kind of game, and you want to. And I
Mm,
used even now sometimes, and you've mentioned it before, like giving people the benefit of the doubt.
sure.
And I have done that with senior people in the past,
Mm,
and I've been proven wrong. And where one of the biggest things is just having integrity. And people, like, again, that don't know how to be leaders, but in leadership positions, have no clue. They are the people that have the favoritism, have the biases, worried about self, form alliances, influences, use their power to cater to some and not to others. But I've had where it's been like, hey, I will do this for you. That time comes and goes. Hey, I will give you this. That time, no matter how many times I ask, that time comes and goes. Like zero integrity. And
Mm,
it's like, so then what am I supposed to think about you? And I'll give you an example. I remember in a job a while back, they were talking about amongst the leadership team. They were talking about what was it? Succession planning.
mm,
So I had a leader say, uh, "Hey, they would like to, take a higher level role at some point, 3 to 4 years, high level role." So once it was all said and done, I said, "Okay, hey, if you're looking to get promoted in 3 to 4 years, if listen to what I'm saying, if you are looking to get promoted in 3 to 4 years, I would love to be positioned to take your job.
mm,
So I'm saying, if you leave,
mm.
I would like to be groomed to replace you. We just finished talking about succession planning. You know what the feedback? Well, let me ask you, what would you
Uh,
say? What would you say, T? What would you say? I'm a
no,
motivated guy. You see me getting it done, going above and beyond. What would be your feedback?
naturally, I mean, that's what we do in the military is that I'm going to help you, you know? And so, like, okay, let's talk about it. I'll bring you in on some of the things that I do. So that way you're aware and you're ready. You know, so I basically groom you just like we do with, in the military, because everybody we lead is eventually going to take our spot, and that's the way I've always looked at it. And that's the way I still look at it to this day. So yeah, that's what I would do, but I have a feeling that's not
Hmm.
your experience.
So I'm gonna pause right here.
Yeah.
People that are listening, at this point, write your comments in. Tell me what you think I'm gonna say. So what was said to me is, worry about your own job.
Wow.
And I'm like, hmm, okay. And then from that point on, I think that that person really looked at me as a threat
Mm,
and kind of, in my mind, kept me at bay and put where I was once right next to and reported to the person, pushed me down a level, put someone in between,
mm,
kind of really not much engagement after that. Like, it was just this pattern that it looked like from the outside looking in. It's like, I'm not going to give you the information to maybe help you get better. I'm not going to give you any feedback, or it's just really just kind of light. No real, even when I asked for a formal feedback, like through a system that they used in that company, declined it. So it's like, I'm trying to do everything to get the feedback. You give me zero, and then you just create these barriers and just push me back. And it's like, well, I'm just said if. And I'm like, well, wow. So then I mean, and then imagine, and I saw it, it came in bits and pieces over like a year's time, but it's like, then how do you deal with that? Now I stayed, continue to do, fight the good fight. I had people at the time that reported to me, so I'm going to be there for them as well. Nothing's going to
mm,
change with me. I'm gonna lead from the front. But it's like, but one thing I learned in reading, which I fall victim to, is not having expectations. I read it from a book of Eckhart Tolle, I think his name is. It's The Power of Now. So those that have not read that book, if you haven't read the book, Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, really good book. But one thing he
no.
does mention in there is no expectations. And so had I expected that person to do any better, I would have been disappointed more.
Mm,
And it did affect me. But had I not held on to that book and that what was mentioned there, it would affect me
mm,
even more. So
hmm.
I'm just like, I can't expect you, and it will never at that point expect that person to do any better than what they were doing.
That's interesting. That's a little confidence energy, brother. Yeah, I mean that person. yeah, they're not confident in their skills and their abilities. Then, if
No,
they see somebody, you know, two levels down as a threat, or anybody really,
yeah,
it's their lack of confidence. You
yeah,
know, they feel they probably have something vulnerable on their end.
yeah.
You know,
But
yeah.
you're more concerned again about who you report to, not taking away from your shine because you want to make sure people above you only see you, not this up and coming where you might get
Mm,
replaced all of a sudden. And it's like, let's say there is no room for growth. You could still groom. You could still say, like, hey, I'm still going to help you to the point where maybe there's an opportunity somewhere else. Maybe you might be a good fit and I can advocate you somewhere else. Or I might say, hey, look, you're ready. I'm going to be honest with you. There's not going to be any opportunities here. My hands are tied. I can't change anything, but I will definitely support you if you did find something, or maybe I have a connection to kind of get you to where you want to be. Anything to help you succeed. Because at everyone's point, they're going to hit a point where I feel like I can no longer get promoted. And that's what I really want. I've developed and grown. I've reached the ceiling. There's nothing more, nothing against the company, but I'm ready to make that next step. You can't provide it. It should be
mm.
like, hey, you're parting ways. I'm not going to hold you back. I've done my job. I've helped prepare you. You'll do great. Need a letter of recommendation? Let me know.
You know, but I think that problem starts at the top, right? So what I mean by that is if there's no emphasis on leadership development, and having just being a good some sort of leadership skills or development over time, then people are not going to develop and lead properly. You know, so it has to be from the very top of an organization. It says, I want to see what you're doing to develop your team. I want to see how you treat them, how you mentor them. You know, Army does a very good job of like explicitly saying, you know, what have you done? You know, are you
Yeah.
doing your quarterly reviews properly? Are you mentoring? You know, what kind of projects or efforts are you doing to grow your team? But I really don't see it out here in the regular world.
But
There's no
could you
emphasis on that.
imagine if they did and they saw, for lack of better words, that a lot of these senior leaders, period, at higher
Mm,
levels are just chewed up and
mm,
they don't? And so then imagine a CEO or whoever their top person is, however the levels break down, and they're like, so
mm,
you're telling me you've not document a thing in a performance review. You don't mentor at all. Show me where you've mentored them. Oh, you don't. Coach. Oh, you don't. You haven't. Or you go ask the person, what feedback have you given them? What's the feedback you receive from your leader? Oh, they say, you're doing all right. And that's it. They're
yeah.
gonna be like, so that's what you get. You're like, yeah. Wow. But then imagine if they acted on it and said, I want to see improvement, almost like a performance improvement plan to a high level leader. I want to see this
That's
change, and I will be looking at it. I'm going to look at you and I'm going to interview them. And if I don't see, and I'm not talking about you getting some outside person, I'm talking about you doing it
yes.
yourself. And if
Yes.
we come back after 60 days and they tell me the same thing, or you did some half ass stuff, you're going to get demoted or you're going to get fired. I mean, imagine that level of accountability. I need leaders
Mm-hmm.
because if I need people that are going to support the culture, all of this stuff, you have to be able to influence, motivate the people below you.
Yeah.
So if you can't do that, how are we supposed to get here together if you can't get that done?
True. Yeah. It's not just lip service. You're right. Like I think a lot of times that happens just lip service. You know, we want leaders, we want independent thinkers, we want proactive, whatever. But it's just words. You know, there's no follow through, no follow up. Yeah.
And
Good
maybe
point.
they're not, and honestly, maybe they don't want to, you know, I guess see what they'll find. Because if they did take a look at that and you see,
Mm,
let's say 50% of your leaders are chewed up, what are you going to do? Like, what would be your action as a a senior leader or leader period to find out that. Now I would hope that people at lower levels have their ear to the ground a lot more where they
Hmm.
are doing that. But I think as it gets higher and higher, it's just like, this broad general thing, but you still have to coach and develop your
Mm.
people, identify gaps. Here's how you can get better and not just be so profit and numbers driven. I mean, but I think that goes back to the point of us saying, where we in the military, the soldiers are, who airmen, sailors, that's all our business, part of it, to care about them and make sure they're successful. Not so much numbers driven because we're not looking at KPIs like that and all this. It's like mission driven. So the people make the mission happen. So that's our focus.
Mm.
Where
That's a good point. Yeah.
where it's almost like the outcome of your task or what I care about that drive the needle. So it's not necessarily you, it's the output that you deliver. I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah. It's just some random thought that entered my mind right now, completely unrelated.
No, drop
No,
it.
no, like, yeah, we're all about accomplishing the mission, right? And in order to do so, there's a lot of things that have to go right. There's a lot of OKRs, informal OKRs that have to go right that in order to accomplish the mission. So, but we focus on the end state. I think a lot of times people focus on that middle state, those OKRs. To me, OKRs or these matrices are middle state, you know? Um, yeah, sorry, just had a random thought, but that's because I'm thinking, I was like, why doesn't the military have OKRs? I mean, we kind of do in some aspects, but not in everything, We look at it as like, hey, did you accomplish the mission? Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Where in order to accomplish the mission, I had to make sure my team was trained. I had to make sure my vehicles were maintained. I had to make sure my vehicles were ready to go. I had to make sure I had a loading plan. I had to make sure, like, all those things could be, broken down in OKRs, but we just focus on the desired end state.
Yeah, but maybe it's like when you bring that up, I wonder if it's just because we train and have plans for everything.
Mm,
So it's like you go on alert where you just execute your plan.
that's true.
That's what you've been training for. So, and then once you execute, yeah, things went right, things went wrong. You do the after action reviews. Okay, let's take those lessons learned to ensure that we cover that the next time. And then you go back
Mm,
and you do it again and hopefully don't have that same issue. So it's like with each one, deployment field exercise, it's just getting better and better and better.
yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's, we the game plan's already there. Where, for example, with mergers and acquisitions, well, if there was a playbook and you knew your playbook, it's like, hey, we're going to acquire this company. Then you execute to the playbook. You already have it. So everyone just takes your piece. I know what I got to do. We've already game planned. We just go forth and do it versus it's seeming like you're starting from scratch and you're just like, okay, what do we do? Where do we go? That kind of thing. So you
Mm.
could get ahead of the game and, do those things. So I don't know.
All right. So that was a tangent. Sorry.
Yeah. But I think with, office politics, at least up to the point, we've talked about, you
Hmm.
know, very much so the negative aspect of office politics, the manipulation, the gossip. I mean, sabotage. I mean, I know it exists. It's a
Oh yeah, for
shame that
sure.
people would deliberately. I mean, I try to conduct myself as best as possible. I mean, my name has been thrown under the bus in some instances, and it's like, oh, that's the wrong thing to do. But it's like I mean, but then to think about unethical behavior happening, all for the sake of office politics, it's like that it's just beyond me that it would even get to that point. But I think we've hit a point where we're gonna have to pick this back up.
Fair.
Because
Maybe
it's
less
a
tangents next time. Yeah.
less tangents, yeah, but it's definitely a good topic. I mean, we definitely something that we've both encountered, and we
Mhm.
definitely want to hear from everyone when it comes to office politics. What you've experienced, how did you handle it? How did those around you handle it? So definitely drop some comments, and we will pick up next time to continue discussion. So appreciate y'all tuning in. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Larry.